Jax, who says, how would you respond to the question, if the Bible was real, do you think the God is evil? If so, then why doesn't he kill us and send us to hell now? So let's ask Jax real quickly. Do I have your question correct, Jax?
Yeah, you have my question right.
Okay, so if the Bible were real, so let's grant that for the purposes of this call, and I assume we're talking about both the Old and the New Testament, and I assume that we're talking about all of the supernatural claims and the rules and all of that sort of stuff. Do you think that God is evil? And this sort of dovetails well with the last conversation we had about where does morality come from. Under my standards of morality, where I say that human well-being generally is the goal, so are the things that God does in the Bible beneficial to human well-being? My gut reaction is no. He murders millions of people. He wipes out the earth in Noah's flood. He orders people to take young virgins as the prizes of war for their own use. He sanctions slavery. He is a vengeful person that kills anybody for the smallest transgression. What are your thoughts, SR?
Yeah, I think I can answer this a couple of different ways. So like, is the God of the Bible evil? Yeah, probably. Could be evil and just stupid. Could just be stupid, you know? So like, and that goes into kind of the next question of like, if so, then why hasn't he killed us, right? Because I could see it as.
Let's talk about the stupid part real quickly, just to make the point
here.
Yeah. Because the word evil is a loaded question. I immediately equated it with immoral.
Right.
But evil in itself is a loaded issue because it sort of brings a lot of things. So I am answering the question, is the God immoral? That's
yeah. Well, and so yeah, I think that can still work with this construction that I've laid out. Is this like, is it bad, right? In the sense, in the general sense that like cause somebody to get hit by a car and die, like probably, right? But like, is there the same moral culpability for somebody who pushes somebody directly into oncoming traffic versus somebody who walking, out of their house trips on their stairs, causing their suitcase to slip out of their hands that rolls down the hill that hits somebody's legs that they then fall into oncoming? Like there's a difference there. So maybe it's not that God is like purposefully evil, the kid with the magnifying glass above the anthill setting it on fire. Maybe he's just an idiot child with a magnifying glass on a hot sunny day and just happens to be catching the sun and burning the whole anthill. Is that fair?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jax, on that? What are your thoughts? Is God immoral or evil if he is real?
I think he's definitely evil if he's real, based on just like Earth, everything here, and how many people starve to death. That's like what your guys' your show. Not sorry. I'm nervous calling it. I'm a big fan.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I think that it's a great question to ask because people have phrased it in different ways. Yeah. So one way to phrase this question would be, all right, you guys that believe in this book or the scriptures in it, all of the letters and documents and all of that, you're saying that it is a guide to goodness, that the character of God is the hero. What if the person who wrote this was actually the bad guy and he was using it as a tool to try to get people to do things that were immoral? How do you know that God is the good guy? If you look at the Old Testament, I think you can come to the opposite conclusion, right? You can say, wow, this sounds like propaganda that the bad guy put out to say, do all of these evil things so you're like me. If you look at cults and dictatorships and those things throughout history, one of the methods they use is to indoctrinate somebody by getting them to do the bad thing. And now you are like me. Look at Putin in Russia. He wants corrupt countries all around him so that he has something on them and that he brings them down to his level. Not to get political on it, it, but that's sort of a theory of how Putin operates. I want to make you as bad as me, so we're all in it together. So that's another way to answer that. What about you, SR? Is there anything else left to the any subtleties we're missing here?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, again, I the comment will come from the believer, by what standard? How are we judging? And again, I think if you judge it by the standard that is laid out in the Bible, supposedly what is God's standard, you will come to the conclusion like, yeah, this guy doesn't seem to follow that. Right. Like this character does not seem to match up to the bullet points that are supposedly goodness, just right. Pure goodness. So yeah, I mean, again,
and that's when the cognitive dissonance kicks in. I see all these rules for humans. I see God not following those rules. Now, granted, I don't think God is a human, but why is he giving us these rules if he doesn't have to follow them? And then I have to resolve that by saying, well, he either it's a mystery. God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, we are but ants to this intelligent being. Right. They have to come up with some other excuse to rationalize what they say. And the best demonstration I ever saw with this was an old Atheist Experience call where Tracy Harris had that guy on the phone, and she proposed the whole the difference between me and your God is if there was a person, I would not let a person rape a child. Right, your God lets it happen and says, I'm going to close the door. You go ahead and rape that child, but I'll punish you later if you don't ask for forgiveness. And that's the difference. And the caller responded by saying, well, you're assuming that victim is innocent. And I mean, that's where you disgusting. Go when you go down this road of saying God is the good guy, is you get into these situations where you have to rationalize this and surrender your own humanity, your own moral instincts to this book. Yeah. And there lies madness.
Yeah. And the argument about like, well, God is like the potter and we are like the clay, and God, the potter can smash a pot if he so wants to, like that also doesn't make sense, because if what we're saying is that the system that God has created and given to humans is the pinnacle of what goodness is, of what morality is, and this God, its character, its very nature, the essence of this being is that pinnacle of goodness, how is it possible that God disobeys its character? How does that work? That doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, am I crazy on that? But
yes, this God, God works in mysterious ways.
That's it. That's what it is. That's
trash. You can't trust your own judgment.
I'm just broken and fallible.
Exactly. When will you learn? Well, thank you so much, Jax, for your call. I'm going to go ahead and move on. We've got a lot of callers, so I really do appreciate the call. It was a really good question.